Finance. I'm Jim Munchback, and I'll be the facilitator. I'm checking a few things on the technology front at the moment. We should be live on Facebook and YouTube and also LinkedIn. So let's get started. I'm going to open the Zoom meeting now. So this is always tricky because Zoom keeps making a few changes in terms of their technology. And so I've tried several things to try to get the right Zoom link. We have recording in progress. So let's see if I can get this. It looks like the Zoom meeting is going live. And I'm trying to see who is in the Zoom meeting. I apologize. I'm using some new technology. We updated the Ecamm Live is the tool that I use to go live stream, and they have now integrated with Zoom, so it's a really cool feature, but it's very different. So I am recording. I'm recording the Zoom meeting. I'm live streaming. If you wouldn't mind leaving a message, I'm going to first find out who is in the Zoom meeting and who needs to be let in. And I'm not seeing anyone right now, which means it's possible that my students don't have the right link. So I'm going to jump on over into our GroupMe and see if I can identify the issue. So I apologize. Give me just a minute. I'm going to jump on over into, I'm going to try to jump into, it's looking a little challenging at the moment. Safari, personal window, bring that to the front. Okay, I'm in the let me see if I can show you this. It's not. Okay, I'm in the waiting room, not sure. Let's see. Zoom. Let's see if that works. Apparently, I still have the wrong link. I'm not sure how, but apparently that's the case. So I apologize. I just posted it in the GroupMe. So hopefully we will get started here in a minute. This will be our list of topics. But first, let me see if I can get some. This is one of the problems with live streaming, especially if you have as much technology as I've got going on right now. This is very technology. Let's see, I think, okay, yep, I got the right stuff. Now I'm going to go back to the Zoom room and see if I have the right link. Please try to join this Zoom using this link. I think that should work. Let me just do this. I'm going to go grab the actual link from the Zoom meeting and see if it's still linked to waiting room. Okay. Okay, thanks. Give me a second. I misspelled second. Okay, so I want to see. I want to see the Zoom. I have too many screens and not enough real estate. So let me see if I can go back. Windows, eCam. Zoom. Copy link. Okay, let's see if I can get a little music going. So I'm playing a little music in the background. I've had some issues with the music, but if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, please leave a comment while I'm trying to get the Zoom meeting going. I apologize. So I think we have the right Zoom link, but it's not. I have no participants. Oh wait, you know what? I just saw one of my screens is hidden. Here we go. I have 1, 2. Hey, welcome aboard. I so apologize again for the Zoom link issue. If you could please do me a favor, and if you're in the Zoom room, if you could just leave a comment, let me know you can hear me. I see your Alejandra, you are not muted, so you can just tell me if you want, or leave a message in the chat. I apologize. I'm not sure what is the issue, but I'll figure it out on the Zoom link. So thank you very much. Now I gotta find my chat. I have way too many. Oh, hold the phone. So folks are joining the Zoom meeting now. I posted the correct link over in the where did I post it? In GroupMe. So maybe I'll just start. It looks like Zoom is creating a unique link every time I start a new meeting, and if that's the case, then that's what's happening. Someone speaking? I'm not hearing. So I am going to get started here in a minute, but I'm having a little trouble finding my Zoom interview chat. Alejandra, did you leave a message? I'm not hearing. I'm not seeing it. I'm trying to find my chat window. It disappeared. This is me struggling with technology. So I apologize. I will figure out what is going on. So did you get the link in GroupMe? Is that how you found the correct link? Okay. Right. So you mean just in Canvas, send an email to everyone like an announcement? Okay. Perfect. I'll do that. Um, we've got several folks here now, and we are streaming live to Facebook and YouTube, which seems to work for a lot of folks. So, um, I'm if I jump into Canvas, the security issues will cause all my screens to go a little crazy. So I'm going to hold off on that for the moment and just hope that the students who are I'll post an announcement after we finish the live stream and they can watch it. The folks who missed it can watch it on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you very much. Can you hear the music that's playing in the background? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we're going to get started. I'm going to try to get started here. And I'm having a few issues, but okay, here we go. This week, this is actually week number 2 for summer school, but it is typically this would be week number 3. We're going to talk about credit reports, and I'm going to highlight a few of the things you can see on the list there. These are the topics for this lesson. In the normal session, these would be the topics. So these are the topics for today. The difference in summer school, just as you know, is it's kind of an abbreviated session, and so we go fast. So these are the topics we'll cover. We'll talk about why your credit report matters, and this week's assignment will include getting a free credit report. So when you go into Canvas, you will see that assignment posted. And if you don't have a Social Security number, we'll talk a little bit about that. But this assignment is for everyone to get a free credit report. But if you don't have a Social Security number, you won't be able to do that. So there's an alternative assignment for you if you don't have a Social Security number. So we'll talk about your credit report, why it matters. We'll talk about your FICO score and why that matters. And I'll help you define what is a credit report. And there will be a quiz, so you'll want to pay attention to some of the details that we'll cover in the next few minutes. I want to help you understand your FICO score and really know the key differences between a credit report and a FICO score. They're very different. They sometimes get confused. The terms, folks get confused with the difference between a credit report and a FICO score, but we're going to work on looking at FICO scores separately from a credit report. You're going to get a free credit report. I'm not looking for your FICO score, although you might want to get that, and that's fine. But this assignment this week is to get a credit report, and we'll talk about why that's important. Spend another few minutes just talking about why credit reports and FICO scores together really are important, what the benefits are for you. And we'll talk a little bit about tips to maintain good credit and some common misconceptions about credit. I'll give you a few key points to pay attention to for your quiz, and then we'll spend a few minutes in question and answer. And then we'll quickly jump into the kind of the second part of today's lesson, which is, again, in the normal session. This would be typically week number 4, but since we're in summer school, you're getting 2 for 1. So today I'm going to cover 2 different lessons, and you're going to do 2 different assignments this week. So we'll talk about that. Well, we'll talk about what would normally be week number 4, first memories of money, and a parental interview. So you're going to spend some time, and we're going to spend some time today unpacking what's important about your first memories of money, your childhood memories. And we will, in the assignment, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you'll see those questions in Canvas, where I just want you to think about your first memories of money. So we'll have some topics that cover that, as you can see on the screen. I'll get into the family interview. I'll help you prepare for that. I'll help you understand what's going to happen when you conduct that interview a little bit. And I'll give you some specific questions to ask in the family interview. And then I'll give you some kind of quiz questions for summary of the interview. And then we'll spend a few minutes talking about with your questions and answers. And then we'll do a next time. So one thing I wanted to mention is early assignments. I know most of you have done a great job posting your assignments early, and I appreciate that. Just wanted to remind you, I'll try to remind you every week, every time we get together, that you get an opportunity to turn your assignments in early. That early is by Friday at 3 p.m. The market closes at 3 p.m. on Friday, and my day job, I get a little break. When the market closes, I try to jump in and grade everything that's in my queue before the weekend. So I don't always get there. I don't always get to the grading before the weekend gets here. And if that's the case, you might get lucky and still get the extra points if you turn your assignment in at 5 o'clock on Friday. So I would encourage you to turn your assignments in as early as possible. And but the key is I'm committing to you that you will get extra points if you turn it in by Friday at 3 p.m. So just wanted to remind you of that. So this week we're going to talk about one of the assignments this week. There are two assignments this week. So one of the assignments, the family interview, is really it's really my favorite assignment to grade because you're going to spend some time. I'm going to encourage you to spend some time gaining some wisdom from someone in your family, someone who's got some experience with money, and maybe good or bad. But that's really what the purpose of this assignment is for you to have the opportunity to gain some wisdom from someone who is in your family, someone older than you. This is not for your roommate, but there's so many benefits, and we're going to talk about those in this lesson. So I'm posting here on the screen just some ideas from the book of Proverbs, which is one of when I was a young boy. I grew up in a very Christian family, and we went to church a lot. And anyway, I became interested in the book of Proverbs. They made the wisdom writings of King Solomon were interesting to me when I was a kid, and they seemed to make a lot of sense. So one of the things that I've recognized in our culture today is that just paying attention to things that are wise is helpful. And so you're going to have an opportunity to do that this week in this assignment. You're going to have an opportunity to basically extract wisdom from someone in your family. So I want to encourage you to think about who you're going to approach and ask to do this interview. It's an opportunity for you to learn from them, and that's a really important part of this week's assignment. So I want to talk about your credit report and why it matters. I'm looking for the chat here, and I'm not seeing the chat. If you have a question, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and unmute yourself and just say whatever your question is. And I'm going to close some screens here and see if I can get something happened to my screens. If you could see my screens, I'll try to show you over my shoulder here. I'm having some kind of issue, technology issue. So anyway, I'm not finding my chat. So if you have a question, just please speak up and I'll try to find my chat. Oh, here we go. I just found a screen that I was looking for, a long lost screen. Let's just give me just a second. I'm going to say chat. Okay, here we go. I see messages now. Great. Okay. So let me just spend a minute and answer some questions here. Give me just a second. And I'm going to get off of this screen. I do not know what's going on with my computer, but it's giving me a little grief. So let me see if I can. I'm going to answer some questions just for a minute, and then we'll get back to. I just found my chat. It disappeared. Good morning, Professor. I had a question I wanted to ask if we can turn in late assignments, and if so, how much is deducted from it? Yes, you can, and I would encourage you to do that. That's a great question. So let me just tell you that if you turn in a late assignment, your late assignment will be 1 point. So you have 2 weeks to turn in a late assignment. So in other words, and this is summer school, so 2 weeks is a lifetime, but you have 2 weeks. So if you happen to be late, don't stress over that too much. Just know that you still have to do that assignment. You still want to do that assignment, because what's going to happen with your late assignment is you're going to get 1 point. And that may seem like a real big ripoff, and kind of is, but it is what it is. You get 1 point for late assignments. And that 1 point is something that's kind of an accounting trick for me. When I see that you got 1 point for an assignment, that tells me that you did the assignment and you did it within 2 weeks of its due date. So that's important, because you get 200 points in this course for class participation. You can't really participate in the course if you don't do the assignments. And if you don't do them in a timely way, then your class participation is just kind of irrelevant. So here's the thing. If you don't do an assignment, you will get not only 0 on the assignment, so you'll miss those 50 points, but you'll also get a deduction. You'll get a deduction of 20 points. So you don't want to do that. So I would encourage you to, again, do those assignments early. The early assignments are really the key. Friday by 3 p.m., you get the extra points. So hopefully that answers your question. And thank you for the question, Alejandra. And I appreciate you guys just finding the link to Zoom. I'm still not sure what's going on, but I'm going to do my best to try to figure that out this week. So you're very welcome. Thank you again for asking the question. So I do have my chat window open. And anyway, so when you're ready to chat in, I'm looking at that right now. So also, so Han, you're asking the question, how does participation, how is it counted? So basically each week you're doing these class collaboration parts of your assignment, and that is how I'm keeping track of whether or not you are participating in the course. And that's how your 200 points will be accumulated. Each week when you submit your assignment, there's always a little secret question in there that comes from this Zoom meeting, which you are required to watch. And so, again, this is being live streamed to Facebook and YouTube. So if you miss the Zoom meeting, you can watch it on YouTube, and you can watch it in double speed, which is what I would do, because you can listen a lot faster than I can talk. Okay, so back to why your credit report matters. Let's just jump right back in there. And again, if you have questions, now, if you wouldn't mind, I'll try and do questions and answers at the end of this session. Again, I'm going to cover these topics. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, because you have a lot of more material in Money Study Group that helps you with this week's assignment, but I'm going to try to buzz through these, and then we'll jump into the second part of the assignment, and you'll have another opportunity to ask questions there. And I want to leave as much time as possible for questions, and we're already at 10:26 a.m., and I try to get you guys done and out of here in an hour. I'm happy to stay late if you guys need more time for questions and answers. I'll be happy to stay as long as you want, but that's kind of my goal is to finish in an hour, and it doesn't help when I have technology troubles, which I've had today again. So thank you for your patience and your questions. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about why your credit report matters. And again, we are talking about your credit report. There's a difference between your credit report and your FICO score. I know you want to pay attention to your FICO score, and we'll talk about why that's important. In fact, we'll do that here now, but I just want to let you know that your credit report is something you can check free. There are 3 or 4 different agencies. I know there are 3. And it's on your quiz, so you need to know that they're the names of the credit bureaus that give you the opportunity to get a free credit report. You'll go to for annualcreditreport.com. The link is in your assignment, but that's where you're going to go to get your free credit report. And so your free credit report is something you should do at least twice a year, because you are a major target for scam and fraud. And reviewing your credit report is a great way to just make sure you don't have mistakes, errors, and other mysterious things on your credit report. So it's a good idea to do that. And plus, if you want to manage your FICO score, your credit report has all of the information that you will want to pay attention to in order to manage your FICO score. Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of kind of keeping track of your credit. Your number one benefit is when you have a good FICO score, when you have good credit, you get lower cost for credit. So, Dave Ramsey likes to call this I love credit score, which is very interesting to me, because really what it is, when you pay attention to your FICO score, is you're paying attention to a system that is basically evaluating you in terms of your potential quality as a customer for credit. Now, credit may seem like that it's a privilege or a right, but credit is really nothing but a product. And it's a very, very lucrative product for the credit industry. So Dave Ramsey, if you ever watch Dave Ramsey, you'll see him cutting up credit cards. And that's his approach. That's his marketing. His target market is people that are buried in debt. We're going to talk about how you get buried in debt and how to get unburied from being buried in debt in the Credit Crush assignment, which is coming up. But for now, we're spending some time just talking about credit and how it works. So this week in your assignment, you're going to learn a lot about credit and how it works. But the benefit of paying attention to your FICO score, number one, is that you're just going to have access to better loans, better terms for your loans. So that's important. And when I say better terms, better loans, you probably have already received tons of offers for credit, and you will continue to receive offers for credit. And sometimes those offers are too good to be true when you get the offer. And then when you actually do the application, you find out that the offer isn't as good as the offer was. In other words, they give you a kind of a bait and switch. They tell you can get this interest rate and this low payment for this amount of credit. And then you do the application and you find out, oh man, it's not near as good as they said it would be. And that's typically because there's something on your credit report that has changed the metrics for the folks who are measuring your quality as a potential customer for their credit card or their credit, which again is a product. One of the things that I think is important to just recognize is that monitoring your credit, your FICO score. One of the reasons that I want you to be aware of or I guess I want you to know I'm aware of it. As an employer, I can tell you I have hired lots of people in my career. And while I was a State Farm agent in particular, your credit, if you applied for a job, even in my State Farm agency, I'm no longer a State Farm agent, but when I was, if you applied for a job in my agency, even though I would be your employer, I had to submit your name and your social security number to State Farm because they basically would approve you to work for me. So even though I was an independent contract agent as a State Farm agent, it was my business. I was the one who was going to pay you. I was going to pay the taxes. All of that was my responsibility as a business owner. But the point is, to get licensed to work in an insurance agency and a State Farm agency, you still had to get approved through State Farm. And to do that, they checked your credit. So I just want you to know that your credit does matter. It does impact the information that an employer gets, and it's important for you to know that. So that's, again, why this is an important part of this week's assignment. Not just this week's assignment, but I want you to get in a habit of checking your credit report on a regular basis, because that's the only way you're going to know what's on your credit report. That's the only way you're going to know what's impacting your FICO score is your credit report. So that's this week's assignment. So let me just talk a little bit about what is a credit report. And it's a very detailed record. I think we just flashed on the screen the three bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It seems like there's another one. I know there are others, but those are the ones for sure that you can get a free credit report. And so you'll get to do that this week. But what is a credit report? It's got a lot of personal information on it. So that's number one. Your credit report is filled with personal information about you, including your social security number, employment, and such as that. Another thing that's on your credit report is information about your account. So you're going to see when you do your credit report, there's a ton of information about every credit account you've ever had. At least because of your age, typically if you're in college or a college student, you probably haven't had a lot of credit accounts. You may have had none. And your credit report will show that you've had none. And you might find a surprise. You might find that there's an account on your credit report that you never opened. It's one of the biggest benefits of doing this assignment is to do your credit report to see if there are any surprises, because the number one surprise that I find in this course when students do their first credit report is there's an account on my report that I never opened. And that's a mystery that you get to solve, and you should solve it. So that is important. Another thing that's on your credit report is inquiries, credit inquiries, and you're going to learn how that impacts your credit score, because credit inquiries happen when you apply for credit, sometimes even like when you apply for a job or when you apply for an insurance policy. There are lots of different ways, and I'm really not an expert in all of the ways that credit inquiries show up on your credit report. But the point is, when you do your credit report, you're going to see those and you're going to know what they are, and it's just going to be a helpful piece of information. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your FICO score and some of the important pieces of information. There's a name, it's on the screen there, Fair Isaac Corporation. I have no idea. I guess that's where it came from. But your FICO score, it's like the FICO is like the number one score. There's different scores out there, but the FICO is the one that's most used in the credit industry. So it's the one that we all talk about typically, but it's not the only one. So just so you know that, your FICO score, the Fair Isaac Corporation, most commonly used. And I think the numbers, this is a quiz question, the numbers of your credit And you're going to have access to a really cool guide that I put in Money Study Group to help you if you really want to know more about your FICO score. But that's the main thing. One of the key pieces of your FICO score is your payment history. 35%. If you have late payments, bankruptcies, your payment history is a big part of your FICO score. And again, these are quiz questions. You're going to have a quiz in Money Study Group, and these are the questions. So I'm trying to give you a little heads up. Amount owed, how much you owe different creditors, is a 30% of your FICO score. Did you know that? 30%. Another big part of, I'm basically reviewing I think there are 5 metrics, 5 big pieces of information that make up your FICO score. And I should have this great guide that you're going to see. I should be showing it to you right now, but I didn't think of that. And I am not about to try that now because my technology system is like already testing me. Sorry about that. But the length of your credit history, like how long you've had credit with different creditors, that's 15% of your score. So that makes a difference. New credit. If you apply for a new credit card every other week, every month, whatever, every time you want to buy something, you're going to be offered a new credit card. I mean, you can't go into Walgreens, right, without someone asking you if you want to take advantage of their credit card and get free stuff. Everybody wants your money in their pocket. Everybody wants you to use their credit card and set up an account with them so that they can earn more money from you. And again, you're going to learn about how this really works when we get into the Credit Crush assignment. And I'm going to walk you through kind of a scenario for yourself where you're going to get to see with your own eyes the incredible weaponization of credit. And basically, you're going to see how they use you to get more money from you. And it's gonna be remarkable. I mean, here's what I'm trying to say. You're going to be shocked. You will be shocked when you go through that experiment, and you'll be using your Right Capital financial planning portal, which I'll talk about in a minute. But anyway, that's the Credit Crush assignment. So new credit is 10%. New credit, 10%. If you're opening new accounts, that's going to impact your credit score. Another thing that impacts your credit score is just the mix, the type of credit you have. Some credit is better than other credit. So, for example, a mortgage is better credit than a car payment. Student loan is better credit than a credit card. And so the mix, the type of credit that you have will impact your score. So just be aware of that. So now I want to talk a little bit about just a few of the differences between credit reports and FICO scores. And I don't know if you can hear this. Probably not. No, it's not playing, but I just played a really cute sound that you didn't get to hear because my technology is not that great. Oh, well. So key differences. FICO score, credit card, there's three distinctions there on the screen. It's kind of moving kind of fast. It's kind of hard to see. So basically, I just want you to know there's a ton of information on your credit report, which is what you're going to get. And your FICO score is basically a result of the result of what's on your credit report. So now let's talk a little bit about why they matter, just kind of a summary, why your credit report and your FICO scores matter. They're basically together going to determine how much interest you pay on loans and what type of loans you qualify for. And so you want to have a good credit score. And the best way for you to manage that is to pay attention to your credit report. So I want you to be aware of kind of how they work together. And this week's assignment is just a simple exercise. It will just take you a few minutes, really, to grab your free credit report. And I want you to develop some muscle memory around that so that you can get good at it. So, again, if you have any questions, save those for the question answer session coming up in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about some tips. Obviously, if you pay your bills on time, that's going to, if you just think about those 5 things that we talked about that impact your credit score. If you think about those, it'll make a lot of sense. So if you pay your bills on time, and if you keep those balances low, that's going to improve your credit score. And just don't apply for new credit. Every time they offer it, McDonald's or Walgreens or CVS or Walmart or wherever you go, they're going to offer you a credit card. And just be aware that when you open a new account, it's going to impact your credit score. So keep that in mind. Some other tips to keep in mind for maintaining good, healthy credit is review your credit report. It's like probably the number one thing you can do. And another thing is just kind of think about which accounts do you want to keep and which ones do you want to get rid of. If you keep older accounts, that's going to improve that score again. Now, I want to talk about just for a minute the whole idea of I love credit scores. Dave Ramsey's comment. I don't think that I don't agree with Dave Ramsey all the time on everything, but he's right about one thing. This credit score is designed by and for the credit industry. Now, it doesn't mean we can ignore it, but it's important, I think, to understand that you're dealing with a system, the system of credit, where you are basically a target. Okay, you are a target for a product called credit, and just keep that in mind. Just be thinking about that. Be aware of that, because if you're not aware of that, you're going to be much more likely to be a victim of that target. I mean, you're going to be a target of that. So just be aware of it. I mean, again, I don't agree with Dave Ramsey. He says, cut up your credit cards, don't use a credit card. It's kind of funny because when I went to my very first Dave Ramsey thing, he was in Houston, and I thought it'd be cool. I've been teaching his material in my church for many years. I thought I'll go there, meet the team. I've been to Dave Ramsey's office, met his daughter. I never got to talk to Dave. But anyway, all that to say that when I went to their program, they were happy to take my credit card to buy their stuff, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, Dave Ramsey cut up those credit cards. That's his message. I don't think that's right. I think using credit wisely is a much, much better thing to do. So, yeah. So anyway, let's jump into a couple of misconceptions about credit. So the first misconception about credit is that checking your credit score often will hurt your score, and that's not true. Another one is that you only have one credit score. Remember, I mentioned the FICO, the Fair Isaac Corporation, is the most common tool for measuring your credit score. It's not the only one. There are others, but it is the most common. So some more other misconceptions is that a high income means a high credit score, and that's not true. Trust me, I promise you, I've been around in the financial planning world long enough and working with clients who looked very wealthy, who had incredible incomes, but they were not really good at managing debt or credit. And so high income isn't going to give you a good credit score. You can have low income and have a great credit score. And another one is, we already talked about, if you close old accounts, that's going to improve your credit score. That's not always true, because the aging of those accounts has a positive impact. If it's an old account that you've had forever and you've paid it on time, that's going to improve, not decrease your credit score. So hopefully that makes sense. Those are just some basic misconceptions about credit that I wanted to clear up, and you never know, they could be a quiz question. And speaking of quiz questions, here's some summary just to help you believe these are. So basically, understanding your credit report and FICO score is really important. I want you to make it part of your financial lifestyle, to check your credit and check it regularly. Will you commit to do that? I hope you will. It's really the point of this week's exercise, this week's assignment. So that is the first quiz kind of highlight, really. And this one's no different, really. You may not realize it, but by checking your credit report and just being aware of it, and being aware of your credit score and what makes it up, it can have a big impact in your financial life. So I'm just going to give you one example. If you eventually want to buy a house, let's say, for example, and you don't pay any attention to your credit score, when you go to buy that house, let's say it's a $300,000 house, your loan, your mortgage is not going to be as good as someone who paid attention and understood how their credit score worked. And so that's a 30-year loan. Typically, folks get a 30-year loan on a mortgage with an interest rate that's higher. It's going to cost you, it's going to really move the needle in your financial life. So just be aware of that. It's an important topic. That's kind of the bottom line. Good credit, it does pay off with some better options, and that's really the key point here. And at least that's important to me. I hope that's important to you. So that's that. So let's talk a little bit about questions about credit. If you've got a credit question, now's a good time to ask. I'm not going to spend a lot of time waiting. If you're in if you're in YouTube or Facebook and you want to leave a question in the comments, especially if you missed the link, then please, by all means, go ahead and leave a question. By the way, I'm going to answer this question for next week until I just absolutely make sure that the Zoom link is bulletproof. I'm going to start doing posting an announcement with the actual link. It looks like Zoom is creating a new link with a unique, link every time I start a new meeting, which I didn't think it would do that. I got to figure that out. And again, I apologize. So that's a question I'm trying to answer. Okay, so that is about it for this part of today's lesson. Let's jump right into the next. So now we're going to talk about kind of the second part of this week's assignment, this week's lesson. We're going to talk about first memories of money, your first memories of money. And again, this week you're going to do an assignment that is my favorite assignment of the entire semester, because what you're going to do is you're going to interview someone in your family, and you're going to learn about their experience with money, and their experience can become a huge asset for you. And I hope that as we go through the next few minutes, you'll just be thinking about how you can take advantage of this assignment in a way that can become, a lot more than just basically an assignment in summer school. It can be this experience can be something that can impact your life, and I hope you'll take advantage of it in that way. So that's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. You can see on the screen that we've got number of topics. I'm just going to walk you through basically the assignment so you know what to expect. This again would be week 4 if we were in the regular session. Since it's summer school, this is week 2, but it's sorry about the reference to week 4. Hopefully that's not confusing, but it is this week's topic. And so I wanted to just go over what this assignment really is. It is a family interview. So this is not a roommate interview. This is a family interview for someone older than you. So think mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. Those are the types of family members that I want to encourage you to interview. And again, if you do interview your roommate, that's fine. You just will get 0 points for that assignment. So please be aware of that. Oh, by the way, it is time for this week's secret class collaboration. And I hope if I do my job right, you will get a nice timestamp in the video. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, I'm going to put timestamps in. It's one of the things I'm practicing this semester that's not as easy as you might think, at least for me. So I'm going to timestamp it, but this will not be timestamped because this is my way of getting you to watch these Zoom meetings, which is required even though it's an asynchronous course. So each week I'm going to throw in a secret class collaboration question that you get to comment on. And you can leave that comment in Money Study Group. You can leave it in YouTube. That's my favorite way to read your comments on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, not Group Me. You can't leave these class collaboration comments in Group Me because that's just, well, that's Group Me. So anyway, this week's class collaboration is I'm curious, how do you feel about this whole student loan forgiveness deal where someone in the White House just says, okay, we're going to basically buy your vote by giving away your student loans. Now, I know if you have a lot of student loans and you have the opportunity to have them forgiven, if I were you, I'd be like, I'm voting for that guy. No question about it. If they'll give up, if I've got $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in student loans, I'm happy to let the dude that works at McDonald's pay the taxes so I don't have to pay my loans. Well, actually, that is one way to think of it. But I'm curious how you think about it. Like, do you feel like that's something that is a good idea? What are the ramifications? How does that impact you? Not really so much. Like, I'm not asking you to tell me I got student loans and I'm voting for whoever says they'll. I'm curious. I'm just curious. So have fun with it. Don't want to get too political, but I am curious because it does. This issue is one of the issues that's going to impact you more than me over your lifetime. I mean, just think about how much debt is out there. And if politicians decide they're just going to start giving it away, somebody's going to pay. Somewhere there's going to be some pain from that. And there's going to be some people that benefit, that get a free ride, but there's somebody else that's not getting a free ride. So I'm just curious, how do you feel about that? Okay, so I want to talk about your first memories of money. This week's assignment, the family interview, is really about you finding out, learning from someone in an older generation about their experience with money. But I want to ask you about your first memory about money, and here's why. You may not realize it, but understanding, if you think about, like, just if you can just go back in your mind and think about your very first memories of money. Maybe it was some quarters or dollar bills or just whatever comes to your mind. I want you to just let your imagination develop that picture of your first memories of money. And I want you to start to think about how your first memories of money really are kind of a guide for you to understand your attitudes, the way you think about money. That's the whole point of this. Your first memories of money. It's kind of how you think about money. And I want you to, in the course of this week, as you think about your first memories of money, and especially as you do the family interview, I want you to start to think about, what do your first memories of money, what do they say about you, who you are, how you operate, how you behave with money? And that may not make a lot of sense right now, but I think it will make more sense by the end of the week, by the end of this assignment. So I hope you'll take that seriously. This is, again, one of those assignments that may not seem like it has a tremendous impact on your financial life. And it may seem like maybe this isn't a topic that should be covered in an introduction to personal finance course. But I promise you, this is the kind of conversation that you have with yourself that can really help you master the management of money. And so I want you to spend some time and think about that. Your first memories of money really come from those childhood memories. And that's what I'm going to ask you to share with me in this week's assignment, is your childhood memories about money. Most people who answer this question and begin to think about it start to think about some way that they received money before they were really old enough to earn money. So that would be allowance, something that someone in your family gave you for doing something, or maybe just for being. I never got an allowance in my family. We never had allowances. In fact, when we did chores, we got food. We didn't really get paid an allowance of any kind. If we wanted money, we had to go out and earn it. And that was just how it was in the Munchback family. But maybe it's different for you. And I'm curious, because those memories around your first memories of money, they're going to be part of what shape how you think about money. So share that with me in this week's assignment. For many of us, for me for sure, first paycheck, if you think about your first memories of money, what comes to mind is like that first paycheck. What did you do to earn that paycheck? And how did you feel about earning that? What was that like for you? For me, earning money was a gateway to freedom. It was hugely important in my life. And my first paycheck, whether that was at McDonald's, which was really the first real job I ever had where you got a paycheck. I did work another job where I got a real paycheck, John's Country Burger. In fact, John's Country Burger was probably my first paycheck. It was a very interesting job. I was 15 years old, and this guy named John, who owned the place, he was training me, but he didn't train me very well. I was 15 years old, and I'll never forget the first time I heard the F-bomb from an adult. It was from this guy, John, at John's Country Burger. It was lunchtime, and it was kind of a lunchtime rush, and I was working the grill. And if you've ever cooked hamburgers on a grill, with an open flame, you know what happens. Eventually, the fat from the hamburgers drips on the fire, and the fire becomes enraging, big fire. And so I was cooking a lot of hamburgers. It was a lunchtime rush, and the fire was pretty big, and I was turning those burgers. But at the same time, a customer came in and they ordered 2 John sirloin steaks. This was like the most expensive thing on the menu. They were sirloin steaks, and I put those on the grill, but I was paying attention to this fire turning these hamburgers. And that's when Mr. John, the owner, the guy who was kind of training me, this is how he trained me. He said, F the burgers. He didn't say F though. He said the actual word. And what he meant was, and he went on to clarify, that the steaks, they were $8, right? That was a lot of money back then. That was like 1975, maybe 76. Anyway, those $8 steaks were the most expensive thing on the menu. Those, 95-cent hamburgers or $1.50 hamburgers or whatever they were the cheap stuff. So let the burgers burn, but don't let the steaks burn. And he had a good point, right? But I felt like an idiot. He didn't really. And I decided right then and there that I was going to move on. And my brother, Tom, he worked at McDonald's, and that seemed like a real step up. In fact, it was a real step up. So I went to work in the next few weeks. I had to be 16 years old to work at McDonald's. John's Country Burger, they would hire children. Thus, I was 15 and able to get the job, and I was thankful. But I was also very thankful that I could move on to McDonald's, where I did move on to. And I learned a ton because McDonald's had a system for everything. And I think I learned that kind of set the stage. So my first memories of money includes that story about John's Country Burger and McDonald's, and it's a part of the fabric of who I am. So it impacted me. And that's kind of what I want to talk about next is just your first memories of money. If you think about them and you kind of put the pieces together, you're going to find out that those early experiences with money impacted you, and they shaped you, and they kind of made you think the way you think and behave the way you behave around money. And so it's an important, at least interesting exercise. And it's part of your assignment for this week. And not only for you and your first memories of money, but I also want to prepare you for the family interview. So let's talk about the family interview. I know it's 11:02. We're going to wrap up here pretty quick. When you choose the person you're going to interview, I hope you'll spend a few minutes thinking about who do you really want to learn from? Who is it that you can, tap or ask and gain the most insight from? It's someone in your family. You're probably already aware of who it's going to be, but this is my favorite assignment for the whole semester. I'm looking forward to reading your story. So when you do the interview, I just want you to approach it with a high level of sensitivity and respect. Just remember, you're asking someone to share their story with you, and it may involve some pain, may involve some shame. It may involve some things that they're not really eager to share, and maybe nobody's ever asked them the questions you're going to ask in this interview. So as you look at the questions, I want you to think about the potential that they could be awkward, they could be uncomfortable. Again, those questions are going to be posted very clearly in your Canvas assignment, but one of the questions is, what's your first memory of money? And then to find out who kind of was in charge when they got married, that's a very interesting piece of the conversation. And did they discuss money before they got married? And what was it like for you guys in the beginning? I mean, these are the questions. I've been married for a long time, and I can tell you there's a lot of awkwardness in those early years of marriage, and a lot of it had to do with money. So that is the questions you'll be asking. Okay, let's quickly summarize. I've talked a lot about the importance of this exercise, this assignment, really helping you connect the dots for your first memories of money and your early experiences. So that is an important piece of this assignment. And let's go to questions and answers. If you have any questions, I am going to spend a minute to talk about, answer your questions. So I'm looking at the chat in the Zoom room right now, and I don't see any questions. Also, how parts okay, so I think I did answer your question, Han. You do not have to join the Zoom meeting. You don't get extra points for that, but it is certainly something I appreciate to have you guys here so that I have an actual audience instead of just talking to this plastic camera. Okay, I don't see any questions. No questions. So let's jump into next time. What's happening next time? So next time, this is kind of review. We talked about the big idea last week of the course to become a millionaire by the time you're 50, and that's still the big idea in the course. Next week we're going to be doing, what is next week? Let me jump ahead and see what's next week. So we've covered savings with Chuck, budgets. That was last week's assignment. This week is credit reports and FICO scores and the family interview. Week 5, next week, we're going to do the setup for In fact, next week we're going to do the setup for the Credit Crush assignment, and we're going to do the actual Credit Crush assignment. So you're going to want to be logged into your financial plan at Right Capital. Most of you have done that. I've been getting the notifications, and that looks great. So just keep working on that. If you have any questions, now's a good time you can ask the question in GroupMe. Students are doing a great job answering questions in GroupMe, and I appreciate that. At least it looks like it when I jump in there. If you're not getting an answer to your question, don't be shy about sending me a text message or an email. But first, please check out the GroupMe. Okay, so next week we'll be back with more. And in the meantime, don't forget your early assignments. I hope you'll take advantage of that. If you're early, you're going to get a bump. Let me just show that one more time to remind you as we end. It is 11:07 a.m. and I'm going to end. First thing I'm going to do, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's Al. Have a great day. Have a great week. And I'm looking one more time. Don't see any questions. So I'm going to end the meeting. First of all, I'm going to end the meeting now. End the meeting. So the meeting has been ended. Now we're still running the live stream, and I'm going to go ahead and finish the live stream. So thanks for watching. If you've been watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and I will try to get the technology stuff figured out between now and then. Have a great week.